do is use my platform in an irresponsible way. And I'm not going to just like make lazy content and regurgitate what other people say. I'm going to take the time to meet the people that are being affected, and I'm going to hear their stories, and I'm going to report what I can report, and I'll do what I do.
Hi, beautiful people. Hope you guys are all doing well and having a wonderful weekend. So, as I'm sure many of you have heard by now, a decision in regard to the defamation lawsuit with 7M, Robert Shin, Miranda Derrick, James Derrick, against Without a Crystal Ball, aka Katie Joy. A decision has been made, and that decision is that the case goes to trial. The order came out on Monday, and I was waiting to see what Without a Crystal Ball will say or how she will spin it. And I'm not surprised. She sure did spin it. She made a video explaining how she feels. She gaslights her audience and claims victory. The sad thing is that people are so gullible and hang on to every word that she says, believes everything she says, without them doing their due diligence. And the most important thing is how she views her audience. She truly takes them as idiots. Then they will come to my channel, listen to what I have to say about Without a Crystal Ball, and feel the need to leave the lamest comments like I'm jealous of her. The newest one is that I'm a bot. Just do your research, people, and you will find out that Without a Crystal Ball is a liar. She is just a shitty person and continues to mislead, misinform, and manipulate her audience. I will not be reading the entire order. As you can see, I have it included in this video. You can pause to read, or you can take screenshots and read it later. But before I get into the video, Katie Joy pinned this comment. After more than 3 years, I claimed a big victory in court with more than half of the lawsuit against me thrown out by a judge. I also won when the judge refused to rule a summary judgment against me. This means I want half to pay $10 million to Robert Shin, Miranda, and James Derrick. While part of their claim stuck, we have tons of evidence to prove our innocence. Find out what's to come. If you want to help our continued legal fight, please help this video in the algorithm by commenting, giving the video a thumbs up, and sharing. Also, if you wish to donate to our efforts, please consider sending us super thanks, which you can find above near the title. Thanks for your continued support. Love you, Katie Joy. Quick disclaimer. I am not taking up for or defending Robert Shin. I am merely demonstrating Without a Crystal Ball's lies, manipulation, and how she is so reckless in her reporting, and this is why, and how she continues to find herself in defamation lawsuits. Let's listen to how she spins the decision the judge made for her case to go to trial.
Hi, besties. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. That audio clip is Robert Shin, Robert Israel Shin, a pastor in the state of California who was the subject of a Netflix docuseries called Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. That series premiered 1 year ago at the end of May. It was a huge success for Netflix, and it was #1 in 27 different countries at one point. And Robert Shin has also been suing me since April of 2022. It's been almost 3 years, over 3 years at this point. And in January, we filed a motion for a summary judgment. And as with all legal cases that are complicated, it took the judge over 6 months to provide a ruling to us, and we got a ruling yesterday. And it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Had an opportunity to go over this with my team, and I have a good, solid understanding of where we're going to go next. But the good news is that Robert was seeking a summary judgment against me, meaning he said that he had enough evidence to prove his case against me and that I defamed him and that I caused economic harm to him and that I, interfered in his contracts.
In 2022, when Without a Crystal Ball became aware of this family's issues, she claimed that it was brought to her attention by one of our subscribers. She got in contact with the Wilkings, started reporting on this story, and quickly became the go-to. And as you can see, Without a Crystal Ball actually went out of her way to let people know that she is the go-to. She made this post and she says, and I quote, "I made a promise to Dean, Kelly, and Melanie Wilking. That's why this series needs to happen." Now she's referring to the Netflix docu-series that they eventually did come out with. Without a Crystal Ball, I have been designated a point of contact for updates on Miranda Wilking and her involvement with an alleged cult for more than 2 years. This decision was made by Melanie, Kelly, and Dean Wilking after I promised to help them free their daughter from a dangerous environment. You can pause and read this post in its entirety. That is a huge promise to make to parents. Without a Crystal Ball got in communication with an ex-member of Robert Shin's church, Shekinah Church, and she allegedly gave Without a Crystal Ball court documents of when she took Robert Shin to court in 2011. He was not charged with anything. So, Without a Crystal Ball took those accusations that this woman made against Robert Shin and projected on the female dancers that were working for Robert Shin's talent management company. Without a Crystal Ball claims that she spoke to family and friends, started digging into people's personal lives prior to them and their involvement with this talent company. Without a Crystal Ball had the ex-wife of James Derrick on her platform on Instagram discussing his parenting.
I also want to remind people that this is not about a Miranda versus the Wilkins family. This is not a Miranda versus the internet. This is actually a group of dancers. And if people want to focus on just Miranda, that's on you. But there's plenty of other people that have come out. James's ex-wife says that he's not really talking to his son. This isn't just about Miranda.
She accused Robert Shin of sex trafficking, human trafficking, immigration fraud, waterboarding, running his neighbors off the road with his car, and so much more. She also went on her public platform and called him a serial rapists.
He's a serial rapist, okay? He's a serial rapist.
This is what she has to say about those dancers in this group that she is accusing of being in a cult.
The real problem here is that there are dancers that are willing to sell themselves out and then bring other innocent people in.
Like she said, James recruited Miranda. Her reporting caused a lot of damage to James and Miranda, who are suing her. She was interfering with the dancers' contracts, which she admits to in the court documents, which I will show you. Without a Crystal Ball was asked to stop falsely reporting, and she did not listen. She actually challenged Robert Shin to sue her.
We have videos, we have audio. You're not going to sue anyone. If you sue me, everything comes out, and that's not a threat. That's just literally the truth. And you don't want that.
And then she doubled down and said this.
I have posted a ton of information about this group on my Instagram, and I have no plans of stopping my coverage of this. We have so much more that we're uncovering, and I haven't even gotten into the really disturbing stuff because right now we're waiting so patiently to figure out what the next steps are and how to get this man, Robert, held accountable for what is happening to these dancers, i.e. not getting paid what they should be getting paid, being controlled by a pastor who's managing their careers in every aspect of their lives while pretending like they have the freedom to come and go as they please, which is not the case according to the former member I spoke to. What Robert says goes, and what Robert wants, Robert gets, and if you don't obey, you are punished.
So if you're aware of Robert Shin, he's this leader of a church, and I became familiar with him in February of 2022 when a woman named Kelly Wilkin, who's become a dear friend of mine, and her husband Dean and their daughter Melanie did an Instagram post where they talked about their daughter Miranda and how Miranda has changed dramatically, and she seems to not communicate with anyone, and she's cut everyone off, and she's gotten married and she didn't tell anyone, and they start talking about this group being very high control, and I started covering the story like many other bloggers. In fact, the story was viral. I was one of many content creators and independent journalists that covered this on social media.
I actually am a reporter, so you can fuck off.
And I was targeted specifically by Robert because, in my opinion, I became friends with Miranda Wilkins' family. And my relationship with Miranda's family was a source of contention for him. And my opinion is that he wanted them to stop speaking out. And as you heard in that very beginning, he wanted to divide people and make them so they couldn't communicate anymore. And he said that he did a warfare prayer every day. He gave me a name called Sandwich. And in his warfare prayer, he said that anyone that touches the anointed will be harmed. So he wanted Kelly and I to stop talking. And he also wanted to cause spiritual harm to us. There's dozens of these types of audio recordings that have been revealed by an amazing woman named Alicia, Priscilla Lee. She is currently suing him in the state of California, and they're going to be going to trial later this summer. And Alicia and Robert are suing one another. Alicia is suing him for a variety of related fraud charges, trafficking charges, and gender violence and sex trafficking or human trafficking. And she alleges that he controlled her life for years and controlled her where she could live, how much money she made, her income. He was her employer. And she also alleges that he coerced her into a sexual relationship where she had no control and he could come whenever he wanted to get whatever he wanted from her.
This is very important to note. 7M is a talent company. Robert Shin is the sole owner of 7M. Miranda and James Derrick, those are the people that are suing without a crystal ball, not Shekinah Church. Priscilla Lee was a member of Shekinah Church, where Robert Shin is the pastor. And again, Shekinah Church is not a party to this lawsuit. And when Without a Crystal Ball was working on this docuseries, the 7M TikTok Cult, whatever it's called, she was not liked or very well received, according to people who worked with her. And this is what one person said about her. This was a comment from Melanie Lee, and she states, I had very little interaction with her and was not a big fan of her either. Unfortunately, her involvement was beyond my pay grade. She has done more damage than good, in my opinion. Melanie Lee is the sister of Priscilla Lee. They were in Shekinah Church. They were members of Shekinah Church, who is not a party to this lawsuit.
Alicia shared her story in the docuseries that I worked on, along with her sister Melanie and other dancers that have left. The series actually spawned a podcast, which spoke to former members of Shekinah Church, where they also shared their stories with Robert. And over the years, more and more people have spoken out. And yet, for some reason, despite all of this, Robert continues to use me as a scapegoat and others to try to silence our reporting. That's my opinion. And I have been dealing with a lawsuit with him for, like I said, 3 years. So the good news is that Robert filed what was called a summary judgment against me. And he was trying to claim that I had done so much damage and that based on discovery, he could prove it and that we didn't need to go to trial. And I did all of these things and that he was going to ask for like millions of dollars from me. And the judge denied his entire summary judgment. So he didn't prove to a judge that I had done what he said and that it was enough to skip trial or to have, the whole case disposed of, right? And I filed one too. And so mine was partially granted where they removed about 15 statements that I made and they said that that was not defamation or actionable.
Not true. Both the plaintiff, who was Robertson and Company, and the defendant, who was Without a Crystal Ball, both their summary judgments were denied. What was partially granted to Without a Crystal Ball were 13 statements that were removed. And if we go back to page 4, the court did not say that those statements was not defamatory or actionable. It states that some of the statements either do not have a link or they contain a statement that the post has been removed. And it gives you a list of the 13 statements, not 15, 13 statements. Seeing as the court was not able to independently review those posts, it cannot be said whether or not there is a genuine issue of material fact as to whether they are defamatory. And it is appropriate to grant defendant's motion for summary judgment in regard to those statements. Now, if we go to the last page where it says order, it is hereby ordered that plaintiff motions for summary judgment is denied. Defendant's motion for summary judgment is granted with respect to statements, and it gives the 13 statements, not 15, 13. Defendant's motion for summary judgment is denied in all other respects.
And then because Robert, Miranda, and James Derrick gave depositions claiming that I interfered in their contracts, which I did not, the judge needs to consider the fact that their depositions were under the penalty of perjury and that because their testimony all matched, it would be a fact that the jury would need to decide. Now, the frustrating part about this is that there's like 3 separate contracts they claim that I interfered in, and I provided evidence to the court that I literally spoke to none of these companies. And the largest contract has to do with the LA Clippers. And Robert has been telling his people for a very long time that I interfered in his LA Clippers contract when I didn't. And I only reported that they had been dropped by the LA Clippers following all of these online reports, but I never spoke to LA Clippers.
Now she is claiming that she did not interfere with their contracts. But let's go back to the order on page 4. Number 7 states, in her deposition, she states that she, and I quote, encouraged people to boycott plaintiff and their social media. And she has shared information regarding companies who cancel contracts with plaintiffs, end quote. Is that not interfering with your contracts? When she puts up posts like these, for example, confirmed ad with at Forever 21, at Forever 21 Men. Please pull this ad Forever 21 and stop supporting Robert Shin's cult. Also, dear Toyota, Are you supporting a cult? Brands need to know who they are involved with, and it's why it's super important for people to speak out. Brands do not want any connection to abuse or the appearance of mind control or human trafficking. What about this one? Keto Cycle terminates Miranda's partnership, and she has circled, our partnership with Miranda has been terminated. You're reading a different order to Without a Crystal Ball, because as it says in her deposition, she stated that she encouraged people to boycott the plaintiff. And isn't that still interfering with their contracts? Because as I showed you recently, with her reporting on the Blake Lively situation, Justin Baldoni, that whole story, she was encouraging people to report the judge in that case. And what did people do? People report to the judge. She was encouraging people. It's all the same. You don't have to literally pick up the phone.
Audio obtained by Alicia Lee, Priscilla, who is suing him and was a former member of the church, showed that at the same time that Robert was suing me, he was telling his dancers that people like me were the enemy, that I was evil, and that I was someone that was out to harm them. And he turned them against me and made them believe that I was wicked and I should be harmed because I'm an enemy. Alicia's released dozens of audio clips from her experience with Shekinah, and Robert recorded all of these during the time after the reporting began. And it reveals that despite the legal battles that he's waging against many of us, privately to the church, he is telling these members exactly what we've reported. He doesn't deny it. In fact, he enjoys it. He likes the attention.
Does Without a Crystal Ball ever listen to herself? Maybe she should start listening to herself, because she sounds like a 4-year-old. Robert is telling his congregation how evil I am, blah, blah, blah. But Without a Crystal Ball surely needs to hear herself before she puts these videos out. She seems to be banking on Priscilla's recordings. But Priscilla was a member of the Shekinah Church, who is not a party to this lawsuit. And also, when Without a Crystal Ball first started reporting about the situation, she read court records from a previous church member who took Robertson to court, and Without a Crystal Ball took her accusations from those court records and projected and imposed those accusations and falsely accused Robertson of doing the same to the female dancers affiliated to his talent company. Let's go back to this order, page 11, number 35. Ms. Paulson also argues that her statements referring to 7M as a cult is protected under the ecclesiastical abstention doctrine, which protects doctrinal statements as to whether a church is a cult. However, the Shekinah Church is not a party to this proceeding. In the case, Ms. Paulson is referring to 7M being a cult, and such statements would not be protected under ecclesiastical abstention doctrine. Furthermore, a reasonable jury could find that describing 7M as a cult could imply a specific type of reprehensible conduct.
The reason I'm getting sued is because of my involvement in this series that he's talking about. Interestingly, he's not suing Netflix. He's not suing WBE, Wilder Valderrama's entertainment production company that helped make this, or Dirty Robber, or the director, Derek Doreen, or the executive producer, Jessica Acevedo, or anyone from Dirty Robber that was the primary production company of this film. That series was 3 parts. They were given an opportunity, but Robert was telling his followers before it ever was made that he somehow was able to make Netflix stock's price go down.
Joy is not being sued because she is friends with Miranda Derrick's family, the Wilkins, because of the Netflix docuseries. She is not being sued because people want to silence her. She is being sued because of statements she made about these people, her actions, and they feel because of her reporting, her false reporting, they suffered a huge loss, from contracts being cancelled to their reputations being questioned and or damaged. Robertson and Company sued Without a Crystal Ball in 2022. The Netflix docuseries came out in May of 2023. Without a Crystal Ball, knowing that she was being sued, went ahead and participated in this docuseries. She took credit for this docuseries, saying how she was present when they pitched the docuseries to Netflix, and how she could have not done the docuseries if it wasn't for Wilmer Valderrama and his production company.
I hope that this will help bridge relationships. Perhaps people will finally get out and leave and reunite with their families. Perhaps there could be some sort of criminal investigation. I don't really know, but the hope is that by telling their stories, there will be action that can happen. And I would not have been able to do this project without Wilmer Valderrama's production company and his executive producer, Jessica, who was so dedicated and completely compassionate and empathetic and worked diligently to make this happen.
A person with sanity and logic, knowing they are being sued and have so much to lose, would have steered clear of this project, but not without a crystal ball. Who is continually seeking attention and acknowledgement. She felt that once the docuseries came out, she was going to be vindicated. Well, clearly that's not the case at all, because as you can see, this case is going to trial.
The problem was that once the story started getting out there, people began to leave. People like Priscilla, who has bravely shared these audio clips. These are Robert's own words. Robert wanted the attention of these. He even boasted about how even negative attention was good attention. He's laughed about how people call them a cult. In fact, in his deposition with me, he didn't say that being in a cult was a bad thing, nor did Miranda Wilking or James Derrick. There is so much audio out there of the words that he has said, the things that he has said, and there's a litter of people that have made allegations against him. And while in a court of law, he's never been held accountable. He will go to trial when it comes to Alicia's case and the 6 other people that are suing him. And if my case needs to go to trial, I think we'll have to go to trial, and we'll use his audio and his own words to show that we did not defame him. Miranda and James Derrick, they said in their depositions that they were not a part of the church anymore, yet they haven't reunited with their family.
So, if Miranda has not reunited with her family, you are saying that she is still in the church. Could it be possible that she just does not want to have anything to do with her family after all, especially when her family was working with you and all the misery that you have caused her? In this next clip, you will hear how she gaslights her audience.
And here's audio from 2022 of him, Robert, telling the congregation that he was the one that sent Miranda to see her parents when they went public about their story.
Miranda had a meeting with her parents and Melanie the other day, and then they got into an argument about, taking down posts about Instagram Live, and then, Melanie refused to. Well, next day, Instagram changed their algorithm, and their Instagram Live thing was taken down. Even with NDA, some of you just may do this. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. And during the same time, because of glory, it's been a while since I said this, but, Kendra had a deal with Bentley, that was 3 months ago. It just disappeared. But Hannah was able to revive it, and now she's got a Bentley deal for $28,000.
Did anyone hear Robert Shin say that he sent Miranda to visit her parents? I didn't. All I heard him say was Miranda had a meeting with her parents and Melanie.
Well, Robert has publicly blamed me and others in court for harming his businesses. Privately, he was bragging to his congregation that one of his dancers named Kendra had signed a deal with Bentley for $28,000. He also would often speak about the amount of money dancers were making for him over the pulpit. Although privately, he's bragging about the money he's making. Publicly, he's accusing me and others in California of harming his business and his income going down. And yet, in the state of Minnesota, where he's suing me, I don't have any proof of any damages, of anything. I never got his taxes. I never got any income statements. I never received anything. And in the middle of this lawsuit, Robert bought a home for over $2 million. Somehow, amid all of this mess, he was still able to buy a $2 million home. He was still able to drive a Bentley. And while he's accusing me in court of causing his business harm because I called his church a cult.
You said the dancers are in a cult, Katie Joy.
And while a judge is going to say that a jury needs to decide if I interfered in contracts, I will say this. I interfered in no contracts. I contacted no one. I told no one to drop anyone. The biggest one he says is LA Clippers. The LA Clippers dropped him and his dancers, not because of me. In fact, I was told about it after it happened. I had nothing to do with it. I encouraged no one to speak to them. I said nothing. And when someone that was a friend of Miranda's, who happened to work with her when she was still a young dancer, who was the mascot of the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, because she and her sister danced for the Pistons, Scott Hesington, who managed all of the entertainment for the Detroit Pistons for years and was their mascot, knew the person that was running and managing the entertainment with the LA Clippers. And he contacted them and he spoke to them and he told them what was going on. And Scott told me about it after the fact. And all I did was report on it. I actually reported a screenshot of Scott telling me that he had spoken to the LA Clippers and they had been dropped. I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing at all. He just said, I spoke to them and they were dropped. I provided that evidence to the court and we're going to ask them to reconsider.
So, as per Katie Joy's deposition, where she admitted that she encouraged people to boycott the dancers and their socials, those socials that Katie Joy was encouraging people to boycott could have been part of the dancers' contracts. In the contract, it could stipulate that whatever product or whatever they were advertising be included to be advertised on their socials. Just saying.
But if, again, it goes to trial, I have evidence in my favor. I have Robert's own words in my favor. And no matter what he says or does, he's not going to silence my voice. And he's certainly not going to stop me from having a friendship with Kelly and Dean Wilking and helping them by being a support to them and being a listening ear to them if they need to talk and chat with them on the phone if we need to chat. I mean, if you're wondering, Miranda's parents support me. Miranda's parents, Dean and Kelly, support me. Their daughter, Melanie, supports me. They don't support Miranda suing me because they know that this lawsuit is frivolous and baseless. And they know that he has filed so much at the judge to confuse them that he's just trying to get anything to stick. But we will keep fighting. And today I started seeing an uptick in comments of people saying that I was going to go to trial and that I was losing my mind. And so now I need to keep lying about Robert Shin. If you have any questions about who he is, please watch the Netflix docuseries or listen to the podcast, which is on Apple or Spotify, which is called Forgive Me For I Have Followed. It's on iHeartRadio, My Cultura. It's on a Latina channel, but you can watch and listen to all the episodes. They've interviewed so many former members, including Alicia and the dancers that appeared in the series. Kalia, who was in the series as a co-host, she's actually suing Robert along with her boyfriend Kevin. And while he's in all these legal battles, and you start seeing comments about me about how I'm going to spread more lies and how I'm so frustrated and I'm so nervous and he's going to take me down. I'm just going to say this. A lot of those are bots. We've been dealing with them for years. And some of them are people from his church doing it, allegedly. And I'm not scared. I didn't lie. I didn't interfere in any contracts. And if I have to go to trial, I will. And I will be vindicated. And I won't stop fighting until I'm vindicated. And that's why I cover cases like what Justin Baldoni is going through, because I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of lies that have been told about you in court. And then someone trying to cover up their bad behavior by blaming you, because I have been a scapegoat for years. But I'm still going to be friends with them, the Vulcans. I'm still going to talk about it. And I'll keep on fighting. And if you want to help, do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to subscribe. You can also send us some super thanks because I'm sure the legal bills are going to start climbing up again. All right, you guys, I'm feeling good. I'm not scared like the bots will say. And if you see more of these comments, whether you're on Reddit or in the comments here, just report them and just know it's people that want you to think that I'm scared of Robert Shin, and I'm not.
She says very confidently that Miranda's parents support her. Do you think that when Katie Joy goes to trial, that the Wilkins will testify on her behalf when their child Miranda is the plaintiff? I have watched this whole case go on, and I can say that Without a Crystal Ball is the one that has been filing anything, hoping something will stick. She wants you to watch the Netflix docuseries because she is seeing an uptick in people saying that she is going to trial. Obviously, people are saying that because this is what the order says. And also that she is lying, and if anyone had questions to go and watch the Netflix docuseries, that is a one-sided docuseries. Best believe she is losing her mind. Now she is saying people like me that call her out on her lies and bullshit are bots. Her followers in my comments are calling me a bot. Well, Katie can let her followers know that I am not a bot because she has accused me and other creators of, and as you can see, agreeing to help Robert Shin. And it has been quite some time, and after asking on countless occasions for the proof that I, Renelle Smith, has agreed to help Robert Shin, she still cannot show the proof. Never met, spoken to Robert Shin or anyone from that side. She also says that she won't stop until she is vindicated. On whose dime? Because this person who has bragged to police officers how she has made $90,000 in 1 month.
Okay. I have a question. I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just simply asking, like, hey, if it's that bad. Like, if I was, and I don't know what your compensation is or anything, but if it was that bad, I'm like, is this worth it? If people are like, sending all this stuff to the FBI, and
I made $90,000 in May.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize there was that much YouTube for compensation.
Yeah. And also, she sent proof of her revenue to another creator to prove that she has made millions on YouTube.
I'm telling her that my channel's grossed millions. That's true. This is my channel, Bree. My channel has grossed millions in revenue. This is coming from experience. I did show her my revenue. So if she wants to show you my revenue, you guys can see it. But it is a couple million. Actually, I have intentionally scaled back on my videos because of the taxes I was paying and the toll it was taking on me. That's true. When you make a lot of money, you have to pay a lot of taxes and there's a lot of stress.
Yet she is asking her followers to help with her legal bills. She also claims the reason she covers cases like Justin Baldoni is because she knows what he is going through, because she has been on the receiving end of lies. What lies, Katie Joy? Because in my opinion, you more like Blake Lively. You are the one that has falsely accused men of sexual harassment and sexual assault. You are the one that used the LGBTQ plus community to gain support and favor. When back in the day you complained and cried on an Instagram live how your neighbor destroyed your pride flag. In the meantime, it was the weather that damaged your pride flag. How about using another person to cover up your bad behavior and to get Robert Shin arrested? Because maybe you thought if he was behind bars, your lawsuit would go away. What about you using the legal system to get people to stop reporting about you? People Do your research before coming in my comments and accusing me of being jealous of Katie Joy or being a bot. What about her going after and disparaging other content creators because they didn't kiss her ring? What about her going after professionals because their expertise does not align with her gossip or gaslighting? Again, do your due diligence to whomever wants to come in my comments or tell me that I am jealous or I'm a bot or that whatever else they can come up with. So you guys, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Please be safe out there, be kind to one another, and don't forget to make good memories. Bye guys.